Yeah, please.
And I think with Cynthia.
A little louder, please, okay?
Yeah, that they, with Cynthia,
Yes.
they probably want to sell the product and market the product in a better way, like
Okay.
online, and
Okay.
like try to make, yeah.
So they want to bring marketing in-house. They want to
Yeah.
maybe more millennial-focused market,
Yeah, or
as
like-
opposed to their traditional TV ads and
And
print ads.
maybe, I don't know, in a few years, people will be able just to buy cars online or something like that. That
Okay.
is like, it's.
Oh, yeah, you can already, there's actually a
You can
car
already
company
do
that
that,
sells
yeah.
through a vending machine.
But maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know, create
Yeah.
a better user experience.
Yeah,
like
okay.
online.
I just don't know Cynthia, I gotta check them out, that's all. But I agree with your thesis, I just don't know the company.
They actually, no, I think they just Googled it, and they're
Okay.
creating software services as well. They are doing another campaign, they're creating specific software for the Mercedes-Benz brand that is developed
Yeah.
uniquely for them.
So is it more apps that
It's
engage
more
with?
apps and engagement
So
for
it's
technology
app-based
and
digital
software for
agency.
the car.
Okay, cool, that makes sense, I like that, that's great, all right? And then transit data, right, because what is Ford trying to do, right, when you walk down the streets, right, you see the Ford bicycles, right? You see Chariot, right? So Ford is trying to have, like every vendor now, a continuous experience of mobility. So you get off of a train and you know what the bus schedule is. You get off the BART and you know what bus you can jump on. Please, yeah. There you go.
Sorry, even Ford, I think they are entering into e-scooter market. A couple of.
Oh, absolutely, we're gonna talk about that for sure. They just made a big investment, right?
$14 million
Yeah.
investment in Spain.
Exactly. The company that's all over the streets of San Francisco, right? Volvo, online car marketplace. So, I mean, think about how different this is. That Volvo now wants to become this Switzerland for the sale of cars. Okay? Why, right? So, exactly to your point, Matul, you're a great straight man, okay? This is the next major wave. And the smart people are saying that this will be a $6 billion market in the next couple of years. That seems a bit insane to me, since it's almost 2019. And San Francisco, one of the most innovative cities in the world, only has pilots for 1,200 of these things. So once again, I think the analysts are getting a little bit ahead of themselves. But people are tripping over themselves to buy these scooter companies, and as Matul said, right, if you didn't see it, in the last 2 weeks since we were last together, Ford bought Spin for $40 million, okay? And they're trying to make it part of a continuum of mobility services, okay? We all know what this looks like. This is the classic checkered taxi in New York. This was a photo that I took of the taxi line at Logan Airport when I flew home from San Francisco 2 weeks ago after I last saw you, okay? You can put a neutron bomb off in there and no one would get hurt. I'm serious. I mean, it's amazing, okay? This is Logan Airport. This is Logan Airport on a busy Friday. Nobody, right? This industry has been decimated. And not surprisingly, this industry has failed to fight back. So they should never let me in London again. Every time I'm in London, really bad shit happens, okay? So I was in London teaching the day that they had the major black taxi strike in Trafalgar, and it was all across London, right? But if you've been to, who has studied at Holt House in London, okay? So we're right over by Trafalgar Square, right? Beautiful part of the city. And here's a taxi strike in Trafalgar Square, and it's just gridlock, right? The taxis just literally stopped a day of commerce in England, okay? Too late, the genie got out of the bottle. You can't put the genie back in the lantern, it's done, okay? And of course, what's Detroit dealing with? Zipcar or Maven with GM, or the one that you alluded to, Sonny, with Daimler, they're all, and this is for you, by the way. This is your next car, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And we've got Waze. Waze now has their carpool service that's gone national. And we've got, of course, BlaBlaCar that's done an extraordinary job in Europe, right? So let me give you an example. It's not just the automotive companies that are going to be hurt. So about a year ago, I was in beautiful Milan, Italy at the Pirelli Management Institute. And I was given a group of 40 top executives from Pirelli to try to explain the future to. Okay? And part of my method, so we ran simulations, we ran agility simulations, and all the same stuff I would lead you guys through. Okay? But one of the more powerful parts of this course is I had 8 of my former students join me. They're all European. So Paulina is from Paris, Francesco is from Roma, Claudia is from Munich, Lita Maria is from Berlin. Matteo is from Milano. His grandfather worked with Mr. Pirelli, the founder of Pirelli. Okay, Johan is from Sweden. Lisette will be joining us today on the video. She's the woman who works for Automobili Pininfarina. And Vanessa is German. Okay? And we had an opportunity to share with our friends from Pirelli the realities of today's world. Okay? So let me ask you guys, how many of you own a car? Who owns a car?
Used to.
How many of you used to own a car, but you sold the car because you came to school? Okay. How many of you don't see yourself ever really owning a car? Anybody think that the odds of you owning a car are very slim? A few of you. Okay. How many of you will buy a car as soon as you can afford to buy one? Okay. The reason I ask, okay, is because, you know, out of this group, these are all fairly affluent European men and women. They were not from, you know, they were beyond just being poor students. Only one of them owned a car. That was Matteo, and he bought a Ford Mustang while he was on his OPT in LA. Nice red convertible Ford Mustang, okay? But if you asked him what tires were on the car, he had no freaking clue, okay? Nor did he care. So 7 people did not own a car. And most of the people didn't know Pirelli as an automobile tire manufacturer. They knew Pirelli as the company that made these really cool calendars, okay? So the Pirelli brand, this is what they know, right? So the Pirelli brand, a 170-year-old heritage brand, had been the entire company, and then just as I got there, they had spun out the consumer version of Pirelli, and the Chinese kept the industrial truck tire business. And so Pirelli is trying to figure out what they're gonna do when they grow up, okay? And it's gonna be a really tough slog for them to continue to be relevant in a world where people don't give a damn what tires they have on their car. So not surprisingly, they're in the bicycle business, they're making tires for bicycles, they're making tires for e-scooters, they're making tires for anything that moves, okay? And they just hope like hell that they're gonna find something that's gonna catch on. But it's gonna be very challenging for them, okay? And a very important part of the discussion came to how do you market to us as millennials? So this goes back to your point, Lydia. Maybe that's what Daimler saw, was they weren't able to market to millennials, and they needed to create more app-based interactions with millennials in order to be able to have a more effective marketing discussion with them. Because this was a chasm that was so wide, you could barely fly across it, okay? Yeah, please.
I raised my hand
Yeah.
saying that I will buy a car eventually, but it's
Yeah.
not something that I want.
Okay.
I'm gonna buy it out of necessity, but if it was up to me and I didn't need it, I
Yeah.
would prefer to like use other services. I don't
Yeah.
want the hassle of being responsible for the maintenance and everything
Yeah.
that you need to be.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to it. I mean, I own a car, it's in my garage, literally almost not. Even when I'm home, the only time I ever drive is to buy groceries. Other than that, just because I need the trunk space and I can park for free, I never drive anymore. I mean, it's the only time I ever. I've become so addicted to ride hailing, it's just amazing, right? So, and now this is really cool. I don't know if anybody's seen this, but you know, the industry has to evolve, right? And so there's a new company, new insurance company called Metro Mile, where you pay by the mile. Anybody have Metro Mile as your insurance provider? It makes sense, right? I think it's great. It's an indication that the ecosystem around driving is starting to catch up. Please, Natasha.
That's a really good point because the car is the cost as well. Insurance is crazy.
Oh yeah, especially in the city.
And I realized that actually renting a car from time to time is much cheaper
Yeah.
than owning one. So
Exactly.
this is
It's a great idea. I have no idea how they're doing, but I think it's a great, obviously it's a very innovative approach, right? So remember, around this ecosystem, there's all kinds of opportunities now to build entrepreneurial businesses based on the new reality of transportation and mobility, right? I can imagine, right, because let's be clear, right, the scooters, there's been a huge uptick in people from scooters going into hospitals with concussions and broken arms and broken wrists. I can imagine an opportunity for an insurance company to insure people specifically on their scooters. Okay, and I'm just thinking out loud right now, but there's all these new realities that are going to create new opportunities, right? Okay. Now, let's talk about autonomous vehicles and then we'll get into the case. So not surprisingly, the amount of capital that has been invested in autonomous vehicles has gone from almost nothing, to $6 billion, and it fell off last year. But, you know, we're still, and this is literally just a couple of days old, so this is very new data. But a huge spike in capital invested in autonomous vehicles, and the number of deals, once again, massive spike, okay? So very similar to what we're seeing in just the number of investments in startups, okay? All the curves are going exponentially up and to the right, okay? Now, let me ask you, maybe I'll play a little game. Who, and hopefully some of you didn't see that slide. Who are the top autonomous vehicle companies doing test driving in the greater San Francisco area today? Gerline?
I think Lyft.
Lyft, okay. Now, okay, that's not correct, but I appreciate the yes, who I have not heard from yet. Okay, yeah, please, Rebecca?
Google.
Google? Yeah, and how would you, and what would you call Google? What's the name Google uses when they do this?
Waymo.
Waymo, you're right. Waymo is clearly number one, okay? No, but Dennis, was that what you're gonna say?
Yeah.
Okay, what else you got to say?
Zoom.
Oh,
Zoom or Cruise.
okay, Cruise. All right, so Cruise, and who owns Cruise?
I don't know.
Who owns Cruise, guys?
GM.
GM owns Cruise. GM put $1 billion into Cruise. You know who else put a lot of money into Cruise? Our good friend, the Prince of Saudi Arabia. Okay, that dude, he put a lot of money into Cruise. Just recently, like $4 billion into Cruise. Okay. Oops, Miriam.
Tesla.
Tesla. Yeah, not at the very top, but they're in there. Okay, so let me reveal. Yeah, Thorsten.
Souk or Soak.
Okay.
C-O-O-K. They
Okay.
even have 2 cars already.
Okay, that's not a lot though. So here's the deal, right? So Waymo, roughly 80 vehicles that they have on the road today. They've got 227 drivers that are approved. This would be a cool gig, right? To be an autonomous vehicle tester, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Right? You can study while you let the car drive you around, right? Or just Netflix and chill, or a motto, I know what you would do. Okay, so you got, Rebecca, you had Cruise, right? Yeah, so Cruise, of course, right? They've got 31 vehicles on the road. This is just, remember, just California now. This doesn't include the rest of the country, okay? Just this area. And Nissan Leaf, Chevy Volt, Tesla number 3, Model S and X, Uber UTAC, right? That's the Uber Technology, Advanced Technology Center. Yeah, Logan?
I was just curious why you think it's weird. that they're
Well,
using
I
a
would
lot.
think that, well, with Waymo, it just seems like a big vehicle to me.
Because
Yeah.
the actual infrastructure, like the sensors,
Yeah.
they're so large,
Yeah.
so you need a heavy vehicle.
Yeah.
And I think the scalability to take that information and
Yeah,
shrink it down is easier than trying to.
I hear, but yet you've got Nissan Leafs and Chevy Volts and smaller cars, so it's a bit of a mix, right? It's a bit of a mix, I understand. Just, it doesn't fit with the vibe of being environmentally friendly, that's all, right? But I hear you. Okay, Sonny?
But isn't that true for transportation companies? Probably they are focusing on bigger vehicles, not just small vehicles which are fit.
Well, there's no question that American companies and German companies want to sell you the top of their line, there's no doubt. But at the end of the day, you know, these guys have a lot of say. They're sitting on the boards, they've got a lot of money at stake. Please, Gerline?
Since I see Uber, I read about Lyft that they have completed 5,000 autonomous rides with AV.
Okay, so if you think that's a lot, wait till you see what I tell you with Waymo, okay? But here's the top 10 list, guys. So Zoox, yes, so you were right. A couple of you first said Zoox, Mercedes-Benz. And look how quickly it falls off from 79 down to 6, okay? So there's a huge gap between the top 2 or top 3 and the rest of the pack, okay? Baidu, right, we all know Baidu, the Chinese Google, has 4 on the road. Apple is number 12. Faraday Future, which is going to be a car competing with the vehicle we're going to see later today, the Pininfarina hypercar, and they've had all kinds of challenges. Ford and VW, right? So as Alex talked about before, right? VW announced they're going to put a lot of money into autonomous vehicles, but you've got 2 very poorly positioned players coming together. Okay, so that's never a good idea. Okay, you want to work with the leader. These are 2 of the laggards. Okay. And BMW was way down at the bottom list. Would you move your bag? Thank you.